Hey everybody, what's up? I pray all is well with each and every last one of you. I pray that your days are going amazingly well, and I pray that you are progressing and that you are advancing in your life. Listen, I've got something serious that I want to talk about. I want to deal with some issues. I want to deal with some things that I kind of to apostolically want to discuss here. Prayerfully, it will cause us to think. It will cause us to go back and read and study and kind of get ourselves back in order and recalibrate ourselves to what we need to be doing. Hey, Kaisha, how are you, sis? I am also going to have it open. If anybody on here would like to go live with me, there should be a button where you can press it and ask to go live with me. If you have a question, if you want to give input, when I open it up, I will be excited to hear. Wonderful. That's good to hear, Kaisha. I will be excited to hear everybody. But listen, here we go. I want to talk about slavery in the Black church, as well as offices or titles that are not biblical. We have a problem. We have an issue. We have a situation that really, hey everybody, that needs to be discussed. Hey Asia, hey Christina, everybody that's coming on. I don't want to have y'all on here for too long, but listen, we have an issue that needs to be discussed, and we have a major problem as it pertains to the Black church. As an apostle who is African American, as a prophet who is African American, and these are not just titles that I just assumed upon myself. I've been ordained into both of them, and I've been ordained into apostleship twice. When I shifted organizations, when I shifted into another one, the apostle then continued and covering and retitled it, just to clear that up for anybody who may be knowing. So, but it or maybe wondering. So anyways, we have a major problem, and it is slavery in the Black church. I have gotten a lot of emails, I've gotten a lot of inboxes, and I've had a lot of conversation and dialogue with leaders and lay people alike who are dealing with titles and dealing with a whole lot of stuff going on, especially in the African American church. We in the African American church really struggle with progression. We are a lot of times steeped in our tradition that becomes bondage for us, and it becomes yokes around our neck, and it becomes handcuffs and shackles around our hands, around our wrists, and around our ankles, around our feet. And so while we promise people liberty, we ourselves are bound. And I'm not talking about being in sin. What I am talking about is our lack of progression in the name of orthodoxy or episcopacy. Now, I know that there's a movie out called Come Sunday about Bishop Carlton Pearson. I am not dealing with that at all. Okay, and the gospel of inclusion. What I am talking about is slavery in the Black church. You see, you have to understand that, especially those of us who are of the African American persuasion, and those of us who are Black or African American and everything, we did not choose to come to these United States of America. We did not make the decision. When I say we, I mean our ancestors did not say, ooh, America is a great place, we want to go over there. No, they came, grabbed us, shackled us, bound us, and brought us over, and we worked for hundreds of years for free and built the nation for free and all of that stuff. Okay. And so what happened was, you have to understand that within the Black church, this is what we are dealing with today. And this is why many of you are in churches and in reformations and fellowships that still operate under slavery or a slavery mentality or enslavement principle, and they don't even know it. They call it order, but it is actually slavery. What do you mean, Apostle Chris? This is what I mean. When we came up and when I say we, I mean our ancestors, those of us of the African American descent or ascent. So when we came into this nation, we came as kings and queens and all of that. Hey, Renee, we came as kings and queens and all of that good stuff. And so then we receive the church, right? We get saved. We take on Jesus Christ. We receive the gospel. That's all well and good. Thank God for it. Howsoever, we built churches, watch this, that actually caused us to become something that we ordinarily would not be outside of the church. What do you mean? We built churches where we gave people the title doctor, but they never went to school. We began to dress women in nurses' garments, and they didn't have medical certificate, let alone a CPR card. Nonetheless, they couldn't even resuscitate the pastor, yet they're walking around looking like a nurse around the African American church. Y'all seen them? They got the hats and the nurses dress on, and they call them the pastor's aide, or they call them all of this stuff. And then we've got, we start calling our pastors doctors, and they don't even have a GED. They didn't even have a GED. When they came out of slavery, the church was what we used to set up governments and positions of power that we placed people in. So the pastor was like the president of that particular church. The pastor was like the president. This is why you can walk into just about any traditional Black or African American church, and the first picture you will see is the picture of the pastor, not of Jesus, not a cross, and anything like that. There are even certain churches that in the pulpit behind the table or behind the chair is a picture of the pastor in the church. Hey, Spring, I might lose friends today, so pray. And so we come in, and you got this pastor and the first lady. Hear the terms: pastor and the first lady. You only hear about a first lady when it comes to the president and his wife. So the Black church began this governmental structure because slavery robbed us of our royalty. Slavery robbed us of our dignity. So when we came into churches, and when we started churches, gatherings and everything, it was the pastor and the first lady. And then we put up pictures of the pastor with a mean stinking look, and they're not even smiling. They don't even look like they got the joy of the Lord, and all of this stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about, and I'm not trying to bash anybody. I'm just talking about I'm just talking about slavery and how it crept in, and how it has crept into the Black church. And so when we walk into, especially a traditional African American church, like I said, the first picture you're going to see is the pastor. You're going to see women with white dresses on and a cap, calling themselves the pastor's aide or the pastor's nurse and everything, and they don't even have a CPR card to resuscitate the pastor if he were to fall out. They couldn't even deliver anything like that, and they never even went to nursing school, but they're the pastor's nurse or they're the pastor's aide. Okay, and so when we came up and when we got emancipated from slavery, we could not become things outside of the church. So, you couldn't go, you weren't allowed in medical school for the most part, African Americans. African Americans weren't allowed in medical school. African Americans